Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the Australian Online Supercar Championship, coming to you live from Zolder for round number 16, and we will introduce you to the other part of our broadcast team at the moment. It is Daniel Lee. Welcome Daniel. It's looking like another great night for some supercar action.
Yeah, good evening, Bernie, and to all the viewers out there as well. Yeah, Zolder, great little place to be. A lot of fun as far as the circuit goes and layout, and yeah, the guys are going to be in for a hell of a lot of fun. We've got just over 40 entrants so far tonight, so good little turnout, and we know the guys that run in the AOSC generally put on a really good show for us, so you guys should be in for a bit of a treat tonight.
Yeah, definitely, and we've got, as always, Nick Hausler. He insists he's not the Stig, he's a RRTV Gits, and he's going to do the not-so-hot lap. So let's cross over to Nick and get some track facts and a little bit about what's going to happen during the race tonight.
Well, welcome again for round 12 of the AOSC. This week we're at Zolder using the Grand Prix circuit. Most of the times we use the alternate, which we'll see when we get around to turn 10 is a fair bit different. We've got a much sharper final chicane here this week. So we're here for round 12. 120 lap race. Fuel limited to just a touch over 50 litres. So as per usual in race 1 there's no stop required, but there is in race 2, and there's a nice big fuel window for that, so you can, depending where you are, because of course race 2 also has the top 15 finishes from race 1 inverted on the grid. So it's got good strategy options for you depending on where you start for race 2. So the track's just a touch over 4 kilometres. It says it's got 10 turns, but some of the complexes include a few more than one of those, notably down at turn 7. Fuel burn is around 3.4 litres per lap. So let's jump on board, have a look around the track, and see how we go. As we cross the start-finish line in 5th gear, coming down into turn 1, we drop it down into 3rd, get that apex. You can wash out a little bit wide there, as I did in that instance. A quick squirt up to 4th and then back to 3rd for turns 2, and accelerating through turn 3 into 4th. I just hold 4th down here and bang it on the limiter before turning into turn 4 in 4th. As we run along this back straight, one of the main overtaking opportunities as we turn into the turn 5 chicane, just braking under the bridge, a little bit of the curb, and you can take a fair bit more of the second curb, and the car gets a little bit light as you go under the bridge, and coming down to another overtaking opportunity. All this is turn 7, so 1, 2, 3 and 4 parts there to turn 7. Accelerating all the way, we've got another hump here that can upsettle the car. Short shift into 5th, and then down to 2nd gear for the hairpin, at turn 8. And we've got just a little flat out zigzag there before we head into the Grand Prix turn 10 chicane, which you can see is a fair bit sharper, down to 2nd gear. The curbs are fairly big around here, so you have to be fairly careful. As we then squirt it down to the start-finish line, I managed to keep it all together, so kudos for that one. And that's a lap around Zolder. I'll see you on track tonight. Enjoy yourself and look after everyone. Thanks, guys.
So there you go, folks. That was a not-so-hot lap of Zolder with Nick Hausler. I apologise for the volume there. It was down quite a bit. But going over the race track details here, Daniel, let's bring that up and have a look. Pretty much it's a 40-80k race. So what is that going to bring to the viewers tonight?
Yeah, so as we've seen in the past with a lot of these events, we will have that 40k race to begin with. So it's a 10-lap sprint. no holds barred. Everyone goes hell for leather to try and get that one in the bag. They will have obviously second race, which will include a pit stop in that. Which, as Nick said in the track facts, there it's going to be a really large window between laps 6 and 14. So the guys have got a lot of room to play with as far as how they want to optimise their strategy for this. The big concern that I have for these guys out there tonight is they've only got the one incident repair. So with the way this track sort of flows, and especially having 2 very tight chicanes here, or actually 3 very tight chicanes, there's a lot of chance for that one quick repair to be chewed up pretty quickly. So the guys are going to want to be careful with how they get around here, and maybe look at filing into single file as quick as possible.
Yeah, so Zolder is horrendous with these balance, those things they jump over and put themselves on the lid. But let's have a quick look at the weather. So it's mostly cloudy out there today, 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit, depending where you're watching us in the world. And so it's going to be another hot one out there for the boys.
Yeah, it will make the car move around. Obviously, these guys do prefer a very cool track temperature to get the most out of the tyres. And when you've got a couple of long corners like we do here through turns 3, 4, and as they head up towards the hairpin of turn 8 there, the guys are going to be leaning on those outside tyres a lot. So look for maybe a little bit of wiggle as they get the power down and get through those. But yeah, they'll probably have a few tweaks as far as tyre pressure adjustments is concerned to help them with that as well.
Okay, fantastic. And we've got to be very quick here because we're running out of time. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to introduce you to the commentary team. They can take you through the point score and if they have time, and also wrap up qualifying, because unfortunately time is not on our side. So your commentary team tonight, folks, Daniel Leet, you've already met him, but Troy Allen, he's our co-commentator, the technical expert for tonight. So welcome to the stream, Troy.
Yeah, good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone. Thanks for having me, Bernie. It's great to be here again at Zolder.
Yeah, sure is. And we will have a quick look now just over the non-endurance points championship before we duck into the qualifying results quickly. And good little battle starting to heat up now for the top half dozen cars. Top 5 are very close at the moment, with Marlon McMullen, last year's series champion, still leading the way on 2,080 points. Cooper Webster pushing really hard behind him on 1,930 points. Thomas Hinz, who's very quick consistently on 1,820 points, with Brian Borg in 4th on 1,640, and Jacob Knight on 5th, with 1,260 points. So pretty good little spread of people up there.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those situations where you can't afford to have a bad round, because if you do, especially for those top 5, they're going to probably fall down a bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen in the past that if you do have one bad race, maybe not hard here, but in the championship, if you have a few of them, obviously it's going to set you right back down here. And hopefully those guys will avoid that. But we will move swiftly on and start having a bit of a run through the qualifying points, times, as we say. And the times are very competitive from the guys out there tonight.
Yeah, just having a look through the results myself here now, and gee, there's only 2 100ths of a second, almost 3 100ths of a second between Marlon and Luke Harvey there. So even probably that top 5 to 7, there's no more than half a second between them. So it's going to be a cracking start. Track position is key here.
Yeah, absolutely. And also being able to have a car that can obviously jump those curbs will be a big gain for these guys. And as you say, the top guys there in Marlon McMullen, Luke Harvey and Cooper Webster seem to have done the business on getting that sorted.
And that is the crucial part here at Circuit Zolder, is in that first chicane, the car is going to get quite unsettled, especially if you take too much of that first inside curb there. And then it's going to sort of force you wide, at the same time trying to get on the throttle to get drive to get into the next group of corners, because that's actually another strong overtaking zone. But if the car hasn't settled itself by that stage, it's going to really be real easy to rotate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we've now got qualifying's come to an end here, so we'll start running through the grid and let you guys know where your favourite driver will be starting tonight's race from. Looks like in first tonight on a time of 1 minute 30.3, Marlon McMullen leading the way, and also championship leader at this point in time as well, so doing a good job there. Luke Harvey will start out a second tonight on a 1:30.358 by the looks of it. We've got Cooper Webster sitting here on a 1:30.46, so really good job from Cooper there. Michael Teljancic in fourth with a 1:30.5, followed by Jake Blackwell in fifth, with Michael Hammond behind him in sixth, Peter Sattler in seventh, Henry King in eighth tonight, Thomas Hinz, who's having another good qualifying result, up there in ninth, and Jacob Knight in 10th at the moment.
And following Jacob Knight is Michael Cracknell in 11th, and we've got Kyle James in 12th, Stephen Jansen in 13th, Sean Thompson 14th, Brendan Jackson 15th, Kyle Stokes 16th, Jamie McKnight 17th. Yeah, it's a bit strange seeing him that far down the field, so we're watching out for Jamie in the race. Mitchell Bales 18th, Jackson Harlaw 19th, Paul Preston 20th, and David Kinman 21st.
Starting out at 22nd will be Simon Pitt, with Matt Muggleton just behind him in 23rd. JC Richards out at 24th tonight, with Jaden Borg just behind him in 25th. Matt Lepoidouin will be starting out at 26th tonight, alongside Jason Ben in 27th. We've got Kai Sloggett, who's a bit further back as well to what we've normally seen in the past from him, starting out at 28th tonight. And he'll have Stephen Varga just behind him. Darren Lord will line up out of 30th tonight, with Michael Ford starting out of 31st.
Behind Michael Ford, we've got Mark Samuel out of 32nd, Job Stewart, out of 33rd, Nick Hausler, the man himself, 34th, Tony Gaffer, 35th, Jamie Owens, 36th, Christopher Kessie, 37th, Matt Morris, 38th, Rob Harris, 39th, Mark Turner, 40th.
And coming, starting out of 41st tonight will be Daniel Stevens, followed by Kyle Bruns in 42nd. Ian Ford, long way back tonight, starting out of 43rd, with Brent O'Brien just next to him. In-race reporter, Weehan Chan, good to see him out having a run in the V8s, bit of a baptism of fire for him tonight, in 45th, and Simon Mazzomo starting last in 46th.
Definitely some big names down in the grid there tonight, Daniel, so it'll be interesting to see how they charge forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know some of the guys further back, the likes of Ian Ford, Brett O'Brien, Simon Mazzomo, are generally pretty quick steerers of these cars. They know how to work their way through. So we'll have to keep an eye on them and watch how they make their way up the field.
My biggest concern at this point in time is turn one. It's a medium speed corner, 44 V8 supercars, cold tyres, cold brains. It could be a recipe for disaster, especially in a 10-lap sprint.
Yeah, absolutely, and the guys are going to have to be very careful with that off the start. But one thing we should have a quick mention to, just before we do go green for this one, is coming up on the 15th of May, we have got the Matt Torkins invitational race for his charity event for the fight against cancer for him. So for everyone who's interested in having a run on that, there's been plenty of sessions held up through the week that they can all join and have a run on. But yeah, great to see the guys getting behind Matty Torkins and looking to help donate and help him get fight his cause and the battle for cancer, which isn't a pretty battle for anyone having to go through.
No, it's not. And all the best for Matty. Let's get this show on the road, and it's green.
So we got everyone getting away pretty well. It looked a little interesting. We lost second place there off the grid there, so that's not great. But Cooper Webster, big up the outside, trying to go through turn two up the inside. Looks like Marlon McMahon will hold that position there. And right at the back here, we've got guys 3 and 4 wide here as they work their way through this opening turn.
So far, so good. It's been actually quite a good, clean start by the guys. And we've actually got one in the wall here, just trying to get a look at who it is.
It looks like we had a change for the lead.
Oh, we've got a spin at the front, spin at the front. And it's all... It looks like it's a 0-1-2 car. We all thought turn one was the action, but it was actually the first group of chicanes there, so...
And we are hearing disappointing. Michael Hammond was involved in that first lap altercation there at the chicane. He'll be bitterly disappointed with that. It also looks like, who else did we have there? Another car further back, and the guys in the hairpin are going everywhere at the moment.
We're getting reports here that the track is jammed, so it could be a yellow thrown here. We'll just have to wait and see. But Daniel, we thought turn 1 would be the chaos.
Yeah, definitely. It looks. I'm rather surprised. It was a bit of a crazy start, and as you said, we did have some issues there. And I think Michael's got himself back underway, but these guys are going hell for leather trying to take those spots. And as a result, you know, we've had quite a few cars involved in early lap altercations here.
We've got Matt Lepotovan into the pit, so he's obviously a car that's suffered a bit of damage there.
Yeah, it also looks like Simon Pitt has come down the lane as well, so we'll have to keep an eye. Mark Turner's in another one that's come in as well, so there's quite a few guys that are really struggling now, and going to drop them well down the orders. There's another spin from Hamid through turn 2. He's not having the best of nights tonight, and it's quite unfortunate for him.
No, and the car is looking quite second-hand there.
So I'm just trying to see where our race leaders are. It looks like Marlon McMullen has managed to get himself back up in front of Cooper Webster here. He'll sit back in second. Mokoteli Ancic in third, and just hot on his tails is Thomas Hinz and Henry King just behind him in that Zuva racecraft car as well.
And the battle's definitely hitting up here between 3rd, 4th and 5th, between Henry King, Thomas Hinz and Michael Taliancic. So just keep an eye on that, because if Michael's not careful, he's probably going to leave himself open to a move here. Probably not so much turn 1, but more into the chicane area there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Thomas will be looking to try and get on that power just a little bit earlier. May look at even squaring these corners off a touch more, just to help him with that acceleration. At the moment, though, it looks like Michael's got enough to keep him just in front of this little pack as they work their way up towards turn 2 here at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just riding on board at the moment with Thomas now, just sort of trying to have a look and see how the behaviour is of Michael's car here, and it's looking quite stable and it's quite settled under throttle. Turning in, yeah, it just seems to be riding the curves quite nicely too, so I think Thomas might have his hands full at this point in time trying to find a weak spot to make the move on this car.
Yeah, absolutely. I think his biggest opportunities, like you say, are going to be through the chicanes, potentially up into turn 8 at the hairpin there as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and just see how he works his way through. But we know Thomas is really good in these cars, and he'll find an opportunity probably where it may not be, but he'll be able to pull it off regardless.
Yeah, he definitely won't die wondering, that's for sure.
No, not at all. And it looks like we got Brenton O'Brien's just come down the pit lane as well, so would have been suffering probably a little bit of damage as a result of those first lap issues there as well. But it looks like cars that we've had so far: Matt Lepoitovan, Brenton O'Brien, Simon Mazzomo, Ian Ford has come down the lane along with Daniel Stevens as well.
Yeah, there's quite a few cars involved in that. It was messy. It was messy definitely through that first chicane.
Yeah, absolutely. But up front, we're typical to see Marlon McMullen really starting to show a clean pair of heels. The gap first to second at the moment is 4.5 seconds. And looking at the times at the moment, last time by, Marlon was actually the only guy in the 130s, so got a very consistent car underneath him at the moment.
Yeah, Marlon's always been the type of driver that's consistently hitting those lap times, and he definitely hits his spots consistently, and that's why you see him at the point end of his championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just dropped back to a good little battle that's starting to shape up. We got Kai Stokes in 10th, Jamie McKnight in 11th, and Jackson Harlow out of 12th. So good little battle here down towards the bottom end of the top 10. But Jamie's looking very racy and aggressive here on Kai just in front of him.
Yeah, it definitely is. So he's up 6 spots there from where he started. And as I said in the pre-race, that watch out for him. He's going to be a quick mover, and he's definitely hasn't proven me wrong there. And he's got himself up, and he's making a move now. He's having a look down the inside, and and he's lost it. He's put it in the wall. Commentator's curse.
It was a big slide there. He did a good job to avoid Kai there. Same with Kai. It doesn't look like too much damage on that car. He should be all right, but that has put him back here with Jaden Borg in the Penrite Stelson Force car. So it's a fairway drop back for him to go after that one.
I do believe that puts him back in 16th. Now he'll take that position and No, not quite. So he's only up 1 position from his starting spot, so it's not too bad. Now, for those of you unaware, there is a reverse grid situation, so I think it's the top 10, is it, Daniel?
I believe it will be the top 10, yeah. We have seen in the past sometimes top 15, but I have a feeling tonight it is the top 10, so it does make it a bit more interesting, and getting on that bubble, which Kai Sloggett's in at the moment, will set him up very nicely for race 2.
So not necessarily is a poor qualifying result going to hurt you here, but if you can get yourself into the position 10, you actually got a front row start. For some, that might be a bit nerve-wracking because they're not used to being up that pointy end, but for others, it could be a tactical ploy too.
Yeah, absolutely. If we go back up to Kai at the moment in 10th, he's actually under a fair bit of pressure, and we got Jackson Harlow putting a big dive on into that final the chicane there, and there's contact between them, and a bit cheeky there from Jackson, but we may have to see him readdress that one with Kai.
I think he has lost 2 positions there. He ended up losing one to Mitchell Bales there, so yeah, if the contact's deemed a bump and run, you'd have to definitely say redress is in order there.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, with the 40 area races, there isn't really a lot of time to get the live race stewards in, but they do have a post-race penalty situation where any issues that they do have can be readdressed through the administrators of the league, and they'll take a look over that as well.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it in these short, real blast races is basically all they are, these 10-lap sprints. But that incident there for Kyle is definitely brought him back to the grips of, Kai Sloggett, Jaden Borg, and Jamie McKnight starting to claw his way back up onto the back of this group too. Yeah,
absolutely. We're looking here just at Jamie McKnight, currently 23 seconds off the race lead, so in 6 laps, to be 23 seconds back. It's a big loss in time so far, but just goes to show once you get in those battle packs, it's near impossible to sort of claw your way through it.
And on such a tight, twisty track with so many cars, it's very hard to come back from, well, one would say a poor start, getting yourself involved in incidents. So, but with only 4 laps to go, not much else is going to happen here tonight, unfortunately. The next race 2, is definitely the one to watch out for, where you're going to have a lot more action, a lot more passing, and then the pit strategy comes into it as well. When do you take fuel?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big thing. As we said, the window for that stop is quite a large one. The guys have got between laps 6 and 14, so plenty of option to play around with it and see what they can do with it. But I'll be interested to see what the guys look at having a play with. But just tucked into a really good little battle here with Brennan Jackson and Paul Preston just behind these guys. So that's 8th and 9th at the moment. Paul really looking for an opportunity to get past here on Brendan at the moment. Just looking at having a look at the drive there. Brennan's got a good little go there, so yeah, that's a good little battle there.
They're definitely right on top of each other here. The interesting one here is going to be the braking zone into the chicane. If he gets a good enough run out of 3 here, he can definitely put something on the inside, but I don't think he's quite close enough at this point in time.
No, not at the moment. He will have to just be careful on that drive, but he's got a couple of more laps to do that, so may look for a last-minute throw up the inside at turn 8 or into the final chicane there.
Oh, and he's locked the rears. Commentator's curse.
Yeah, we've done it again. I think we better get off that one. That's going to be very disappointing for him.
I think we stop all predictions right now, unless it gets a bit boring and a bit dull. Then we can throw something out there, liven it up, because guaranteed every time so far, they've locked the rears and put it in the wall or spun it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just have a quick run through the top 5 just for the viewers to see where their favourite driver at the moment is. Marlon McMullen streaks out in front, 5 seconds up the road over Cooper Webster. Is currently sitting in 2nd. Michael Teliancic in 3rd at the moment, 6 seconds off the lead. Still battling with Thomas Hinds in 4th, and Henry King coming home in 5th at the moment.
We've got Matt Lepotovan still in the pits. I don't know if he's parked it or he hasn't gone for the fast repair.
No, looking at Matt, he's been in there for 5 minutes now. I'd say that's race done for him, unfortunately.
It's a shame. Just having a look here, the battle between Kai, McKnight and Borg. It's definitely hottening up. You can see Borg there is really putting a hustle on the back of the MFR car there. I think, actually no, I'm not going to say it. Let's just see how it pans out.
Yeah, definitely. Good little drive here from Borg. He's up quite a few spots. Started out at 25th tonight, so big benefactor of those issues earlier on at the start of the race, but doing an amazing job here getting on the back of Kyle, and Kyle in return on the back of Kyle, so these guys are going very well. I
think the big benefit out of those incidents was definitely Kai Sloggett there from, I think, was it 28th up to 13th?
Yeah, definitely. Himself and Jaden done very well to get up there, but yeah, Kai just a little bit further up, doing very well to hold off the pressure from Jaden just behind him, but he's probably going to have to keep an eye forward now, just that Jamie McKnight still pressuring Jaden and nearly pulled that one off up the inside through turn 8, and I think he'll be looking pretty good again, maybe through turn 2 here if he can set it up.
If there's one thing I know about Jamie, he'll be kicking himself for those mistakes, and he'll have the steam coming out the ears, and he'll be driving the absolute tires off that thing, and if it comes back on rims, I'll be surprised that they're even still left.
Absolutely, but what it will do, if this little battle pack of 5 continues on the way it goes, it'll actually bring up Pete Sattler here. Pete, a bit unfortunate the early incident. I think he might have been involved in that incident with Michael Hammond, but dropped down from 7th to 15th, but he's closing in on the back here of Jamie McKnight, so that might play in next time by on the final lap.
I just jumped on board there for a second with Kai Sloggett, and it almost looks like the car was understeering, but he's got a good amount of drive out of there.
Wow, that is a move and a half around the outside into the chicane. I don't think you'd see that ever again. If we can get a replay of that, maybe when we go through to race 2, that'd be amazing to watch again.
I'm going to quote Daniel Ricciardo here, but he definitely licked the stamp and sent it on that one. There was no return to sender.
No, not at all. Look, still got a big battle here with Jamie, and it's him and Pete have both collided. Pete's come off the worst out of that. Jamie had a big slide after having a move there on Jaden Borg and wasn't able to hold the traction.
Yeah, Sattler looks to be the one that's come out worse for wear there. His engine is definitely not looking the happiest. In fact, yeah, he's crawling that along. There's smoke. Oh, he's cut across there, and no, he's managed to avoid contact.
Yeah, he will not be happy. He got sent pretty hard into the wall there. Probably come out as a racing incident as an end of that. Unfortunate for Pete, he's put himself out of that one, and sure they'll have a few words after the race.
Let's just say that I wouldn't want to be anywhere near those two garages if they get close to each other.
No, not at all. That has taken a bit of pressure off, though. Jaden, he can have a good look now at Kyle. As these guys going on the last lap here, I think we'll just have to keep an eye and see whether he can make that one stick or not. But up front and nearing the end of this lap to finish the race, Marlon McMullen, what can we say? Led from pretty much start to finish with the little exception there in the beginning, and a bit of a masterclass on how to get around this circuit.
Yeah, he's done exactly what he's needed to. He's just managed the car, kept it straight, hit his marks, and brought it home with the win.
Absolutely. Cooper Webster, great job from him. We saw him have a good little battle there. Comes home in second. Michael Telianschitz in third. Thomas Hinz in fourth. And Henry King, I think, got home in fifth. So great drive from Henry there.
Yeah, it's action-packed. Action-packed, and that's what we expected from the 10-lap sprint, because it was going to be such a short race. You're only looking at about a 1 minute 30 for the fast guys per lap, out to, you know, sort of 132s, 133s for the slower guys. So really basically looking at around about 15 minutes of racing, and it was always going to be chaotic.
absolutely. And the big unfortunate one who we thought had got home in 5th was Henry King. He's actually dropped out of the server on that last lap. So what would have been a 5th result, we'll see him fall pretty much down to, where are we, P32. Quite unfortunate for him there with the signal lock.
So, as you can see, we've got our Singapore slingshot, is that what we call him, I guess?
Yeah, I think we'll go with the slingshot. He's, for the people who do know him, Weihan Chan, normally hear him grace us with his presence on Saturday nights for the SRA GT3 Championship. Throwing in the deep end here tonight, eh, Troy?
I do believe it was you that threw him in the deep end. Now, I don't think there is probably a worse style of racing in the super sprint on a worse style of track being Zolder to throw someone who's relatively new to a V8 supercar.
Yeah, absolutely. I was having a chat with him early on, and he hasn't really looked into racing these cars for about 2 years, so extremely rusty when the cars rolled out for pre-qualifying there. But good to see him get it home. He still finished on the lead lap, which is a great result for him. Just, mind you, but still got home on the lead lap in 29, so up from 45th. That's a good little job for him, though.
I'll bring him up and you can ask him what it's...
Another benefit from the incidents there. So considering he's used to calling and probably driving the GT3s, to go into one of these, I know myself doing a lot of GT3s lately, they're near impossible to drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to look at seeing if we can get Weihan up here just for a quick chat following his race. We might just do a quick run through the grid just to let everyone know where their favourite driver finished up for tonight. So coming home in first tonight, Marlon McMullen, as we said, great job from him. 5-second lead over Cooper Webster in second. Michael Taliancic come home in third tonight with Thomas Hinz in fourth. Fifth was Stephen Jansen. Jacob Knight got himself home in sixth, followed by Brennan Jackson and Paul Preston in eighth. Jackson Harlow was ninth tonight with Mitchell Bales just behind him in 10th. Kai Sloggett home in 11th. Kyle Stokes was 12th. And Jaden Ball come home in 13th.
14th, Jamie McKnight, so great recovery there from him. 15th, Job Stewart. 16th, Jonathan Ben. 17th, Luke Harvey. 18th, Matt Muggleton. 19th, Michael Hammond. 20th, Michael Cracknell. 21st, Stephen Varga. 22nd, David Kinman. 23rd, Nick Hausler. 24th, Christopher Kessie. And 25th, Rob Harris.
Coming home in 26th was Jamie Owens, followed by Tony Gaffer in 27th. Darren Lord in 28th. Weihan Chan, as we mentioned, in 29th tonight. And Henry King in 30th. The first of our lap-down cars was Pete Sadler in 31st, followed by Simon Mazoma in 32nd. Mark Samuels home in 33rd. Daniel Stevens in 34th. Simon Pitt home in 35th. In 36th tonight, we had Brenton O'Brien. Ian Ford home in 37th. Jake Blackhall in 38th. Colin Bruns in 39th tonight. And the last few guys that we had were Michael Ford in 40th. JC Richards in 41st. Kyle Jane in 42nd. Matt Lapoitov in 43rd. Sean Thompson 44th. Matt Morris 45th. And Mark Turner in 46th. And the end of our race runners.
Yeah, unfortunately, those guys at the end there being Mark Turner and Matt Morris probably didn't get much of a lap in. They got obviously caught up in a lot of the debacle there.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be very disappointing for those guys. I'm sure they're going to come back in here for race 2. Should get a bit of time to maybe reset the grid and get into it. But starting off the back might give them a little more clear air just to see as those incidents do occur. But what we might do quickly is we'll bring up Weihan Chan and you get a bit of an opinion from a commentator side of things on how things went tonight. G'day Weihan, welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. Great to see you out on track tonight. Give us a bit of a rundown. How'd you go out there?
Hey guys, yeah, it's been quite an interesting race tonight, of course, because I've not driven this car for 2 years, so I had to try to get used to the car again before I race tonight. So yeah, I think this race, this first half, I believe, half of the race, 10 laps, this sprint was quite interesting. I mean, the field, of course, at around the laps 1 and 2 around there there were a lot of actually contacts here and there, which I believe held up quite a large portion of the grid. I believe a good 1/3 of the grid got affected by.
And were you involved in any of that first lap carnage there? And if so, how did you find the car sort of reacted afterwards?
Well, I've actually been able to avoid those carnage, which was I found it quite fortunate. But the car, I think a bit of contact somewhere along the start. Maybe I got into some. I can't exactly remember, but yeah, my car reacted. I think it was still able to finish home in one piece. And I think that's the most important tonight.
Absolutely. Obviously, now turning your attention to race 2. I might get Troy to see if he's got a couple of questions for you, mate. I'm sure he'd love to find out how you sort of were able to whether you could manage the car at all through the race at all.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Definitely something I want to have a chat to Weehan about. Now, Weehan, last time we managed to speak, you criticised my style on doing a burnout in a GT3 car. Now, this is a V8. Where was the burnout?
Huh? Sorry?
No burnout. You criticised me last time for the burnout in the GT3, saying that they're not supposed to do that, but this is a V8. Why could we not see one this time?
No, I think no burnouts, but I think there was some drifting here and there.
How did you find the car overall? Is there anything in particular that you noticed about it that's different from what you used to?
Well, actually, for this car, the thing is, I think with this car, I've actually started, I guess, driving the V8s actually back from 2014. So actually, for a large part of my time on iRacing was actually spent on the V8s. Only after that did I move on towards the other cars like the GT3s and the prototypes here and there. And what I find about unique about this car is it's perhaps the kind of the ultimate car that you would want to go for if you're kind of a purist who you like sort of a pure connection between man and machine. This will be the kind of car that offers you the kind of connection no assist here and there, but the kind of feel you get when you drive this car, I find that you can actually feel a bit more of the car when you drive this car compared to most other cars that you drive.
Sensational. Yeah, definitely some great insight there from someone fresh out of the car. Weehan, we better let you get back in there because the new track is ready for racing. So you better get out there, get some practice into that car, and hopefully this time you can bring it home again in one piece.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much, man. I'll have to make a move to the next session.
So, Daniel, action-packed. We are now setting up for the second time round. Now, just before we do go, another mention of the Matt Torkins charity event coming up on the 15th of May. This is going to be one cracking event, mixture of cars, one track. Who will prevail? Guys, we'll be back right after this short break.
And we'd like to welcome all the viewers back here for the second instalment of tonight's 4080 action here at Zolder. Guys are doing a quick little practice here, just getting into the swing of things, making a few final last changes in tire pressures and fuel, but looking forward to this one. 20 laps here, one fast repair, so the guys are going to be very, very cautious, and a pit stop. So we're in for a lot of fun here, Troy.
Yeah, definitely. I think the fact now that we've got a pit stop throws strategy into it. The question is now, where do you do it? Do you sort of split the race down the middle so that you spread the tyre wear across both sets evenly, or do you try and maybe run long and then have a good hard crack with some qualifying laps at the back end of the race?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I haven't had a lot of practice here, so I'm not sure what the equivalent pit stop transit and stop time here we're looking at. So maybe for the guys towards the middle and back of the pack, I probably expect we may see them come in quite early on. Shouldn't have the fear of going a lap down, but maybe run it home really hard to the end here. But for the guys obviously up the front, you're probably going to look at wanting to come in the minute you start hitting any form of traffic. So it'll be very interesting to see what these guys want to do as far as run it all the way out to lap 14. I'd be very surprised if we see a couple of people do that, but traffic management is going to be key to getting that sorted and done.
Traffic management's always going to be the key here, because it is such a twisty track. If you get yourself caught up in the battles, your brake temps are going to go up, cars going to start sliding again from the aero effect. Even though these cars don't have a lot of aero, they still do suffer from being caught up behind another car. So that once that rear starts sliding around a little bit, you're starting to torch to those rear tyres, then the car's going to start sliding a little bit more. That also comes down to your setup, Daniel, where have you tuned in enough rear anti-roll bar to sort of try and tune out that sliding of the rear end?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the guys are going to have a little bit of play with that mid-race as well, especially as the fuel comes off these cars. They're going to want to tweak that, but they may be able to look, if they run out of the rear bar, maybe add a bit more front, try and induce a little bit more understeer, which might help bring those rears back into life. But the big key thing here is how they enter pit lane and get off pit lane. I think that's probably going to be the big talking point here for this race is, when you come onto the lane here at Zolder, you're flat chat through that final chicane and braking very late. So you've got to be wary of the guys on the line trying to get through that chicane. But the big thing too is coming out of pit lane, you're entering practically into turn 2 here. So the guys coming off are going to need to be very aware of what's going on around them. But likewise, the guys that are currently on track 2 need to see what they're coming in for as well.
It's definitely one of those type of pit entries and exits where it's very problematic whichever way you go, because not only are you coming in extremely hot, but you've got to be careful, because there is almost a blind approach to one part of the entrance there, the pit lane, that you actually could quite easily plough someone up and ruin not just your race but theirs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you're going probably about another 100 to 200 metres past the entrance to turn 10 there, so you do get a little bit more speed, but you're braking a lot harder to get it through that little chicane. And the first part of the entrance is quite wide. Getting that last little run into the lane there really narrows down as you come past a bit of I think it's a few fuel pumps and that, so the guys will want to be careful on that. But I'm really interested to see how they can accelerate these cars out, especially with that long sweeping left-hander before they make their way back onto the circuit. That's going to be critical, just to keep that wheel spin out of it and get as much traction as you can.
Okay, go to the grid, guys.
So now that we're ready to restart this race, we'll have a quick run through the grid now and let you know where your favourite driver will be starting. So starting off first tonight is Job Stewart. Jamie McKnight will be coming out of second tonight, with Jaden Borger in third. Kyle Stokes out of fourth. Kai Sloggett in fifth. Mitchell Bales in sixth. Jackson Harlow will be starting out of seventh, with Paul Preston in 10th and Brennan Jackson Paul Preston in 8th, Brennan Jackson in 10th and Jacob Knight in 10th tonight. Steve Jansen will be starting out of 11th, Thomas Hins in 12th, Michael Taliancic in 13th, Cooper Webster out of 14th. Race 1 winner Marlon McMunnell will start out of 15th, and these guys are just about ready to get underway here.
That's one of the quickest turnarounds I've ever seen. Jamie McKnight seems to have got a decent start here. He'll hold the outside line into turn 1. Runs it a bit wide on the dirt. So far so good, but the problem is the chicane.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Job got himself a great little start there. Managed to open up a bit of a gap. Jaden Borg done a bit of a blinder, jumped Jamie McKnight up into second here, so he'll have his eyes firmly set forward on Job Stewart and trying to keep out of Jamie's from behind. And the guys behind seem to have really filed into single file very quickly here.
Yeah, just with Jackson Harlow at the moment, they're all too wide, but this time around they seem to have all gotten through quite cleanly, except for Luke Harvey. He's around.
Yeah, and that was contact there with Mullins by the look of it as well. Too wide into the hairpin, and we're getting a bit of chaos here now. Mullins copped one up the backside there, and a few guys have sort of scattergunned as a result.
Jamie Owens has decided to go and play in the sand pits.
Yeah, it looks like Michael Hammond got himself through that without too much issue there, so that's good for him. He's got crackers just in front of him. Michael Talyancic a long way back, and who is that? There's another car spun.
I think that's Marlon McMullen, our race 1 winner. He's deciding that it's time for some donuts.
Actually, it looks like we had Jacob Knight involved in that one. Car 24 sat sideways on the exit of turn 8 there. I'm just trying to see if we can work out. I think he lost that under rears. No, he got turned there. Marlon McMullen. I think Pete Sattler was in that too.
We've got some action here at pit lane. Just trying to get a view of it.
So we're hearing that actually involved Michael Hammond on entrance in the pit. I'm just trying to see if we can get back. Matt Morris is in there, and JC Rich is in that one also. So some reasonably quick cars and sort of caught up in that one.
Yeah, it's messy.
Absolutely. You have a quick look back up the front here. Jabe Stewart, sorry, all under sorts of pressure here. Jaden Borg doing a very good job there in that Penrite sponsored Holden behind him. They've extended a bit of a gap now over Jamie McKnight and Kyle Stokes behind them in 3rd and 4th, so not too bad of a battle. I think Jaden will be itching to get here past Job very, very quickly.
This definitely isn't a track where you want to spend a lot of time behind someone, especially when it's time for the pit stops, because you want to try and have as much clean air as possible just so you can maximise that undercut.
Yeah, absolutely. I would expect where we're seeing these front runners at the moment, they will probably go a little further longer. I don't think we've got any too much issue at the moment with lap traffic behind them, but we'll have a quick run through here now that things have started to settle down on the top 5. And as we said, we've got Job Stewart up front, Jaden Borg in 2nd, Jamie McKnight in 3rd, Kyle Stokes in 4th, with Mitchell Bales up in 5th. So good little jump there from Mitchell.
Yeah, it's really on for the top 3 at the moment. You got Jamie really pressuring I think that was Job Stewart just spinning there on the exit. Obviously, I think he's grabbed too much curb.
Yeah, that's classic. A bit too much curb there. He tried to straight line that through, and not the way to get through that corner. That'll gift the lead of this race over to Jaden Borg there, and he would not be a happier man in that car at the moment.
No, it was definitely given to him on a silver platter, and that was one of the key factors that I was explaining in the beginning of the race 1 there. That was, if you take too much of that first curb, you're trying to get on the throttle aggressively to get it to run to try and stop the attack into the turn 7 complex there. And it's textbook there. He's gotten on the throttle too aggressive. Car hasn't settled, and it's around she goes.
Absolutely, and that'll be a good little battle. Keep an eye on those two, Jaden and Jamie. We'll watch out to see when they will start making their pit stops. A little further back in the pack here, with Thomas Hinds currently sitting in 8th, and well, actually is he 6th at the moment now. up from position 12. So good drive from him there, and as we say, moving his way forward. He's got his eyes turned on here to Paul Preston just in front of him, but Cooper Webster hanging in there in 14th up to 7th, so doing very, very well as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, Jamie's looking very, very racy here up the front. He's definitely not letting the ball get away from him. I'd actually be interested to know if Jamie's had a victory at AOSC, because at this point in time, he's looking quite racy.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head if he has or not. We have seen him up towards the pointy end quite a few occasions. I think the last 80-40 race we had, he was up there again, and he's right on that back bumper there of Jaden, and did a great job to pull that one up in time. But I don't think we've actually seen him get a win here yet.
Well, I'll tell you what, looking at the way this car's behaving at the moment, if you can just, I think maybe the brake bias needs to come forward maybe 1 or 2 clicks, especially in those heavy braking zones. He's a really, really good chance to putting a move on here, and I think he's got the pace to actually keep Borg behind him.
Yeah, he's looking very, very consistent at the moment, because you say the car's very hooked up, especially through the slow stop-start sections that we're seeing in the chicanes and the hairpin there, but it does seem to flow quite nicely, especially through the high-speed section as well. So not an easy thing to set up for, and it looks like he's just got on top of that setup quite nicely.
I definitely think he is. I think the car's probably just lacking that little bit under brakes, because if we have a look into the chicanes and the heavy braking applications, you just see that rear end start dancing around a little bit. I think he's probably needs to bring that bias forward, maybe 1 click, just to avoid a little rear locking, especially when it's lightening up on the pitch under brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just trying to have a look through what other good little battles here we've got. Pete Sattler there in 13th at the moment with Brendan Jackson just in front of him. Those guys are doing very well. Pete's up from 31st at the moment into 13th, so a huge drive from him so far to get up onto the back of this little pack here.
So we're just still up the front here, and again into that chicane, you got Jamie really, really pressuring Borgie here. He's sort of dancing the car around a little bit, filling the mirrors up, letting him know that he's there.
Yeah, sure is. One thing we will need to be careful of, and the guys are starting to come up on it, is the lap traffic behind. So we'll have to keep an eye on how they start managing that and whether they do jump for the lane. And it looks like all 3 of these guys are going to continue on at least 1 more lap there, but Jaden's starting to come under a fair bit of pressure here from Jamie behind him.
He definitely is, and Stokes is definitely a benefit of this battle here, because he's been able to claw his way back onto the back of them. So while these two are fighting it out, it's always a classic racing strategy where once you start getting involved in someone else's battle with someone else, the guys behind you tend to start catching, and now Jamie's not only got to be looking forward, he's got to be looking in his mirror as well. And in fact, actually seeing now he's starting to drop back from Borgie.
Yeah, definitely. And I was just looking at the lap times by through the last lap there. Kyle Stokes was actually the quickest out of that trio. Nearly 3/10 of a second quicker than Jamie and 4/10 quicker than Jaden the last lap by. So he certainly got the car speed to claw himself up into that battle. But as you said, Jamie's sort of fallen off a bit. But again, very solid braking and really starting to close that gap down again.
I think this could be more of a tactical ploy here from Jamie. He's applied the blowtorch, got Borgie to maybe use up a bit more of that tyre than he needed to early on in the race, and maybe towards this back end of the stint, if he hasn't hurt his tyres as well in doing that, you might find he might try and sort of put that blowtorch on again and see if there's a little opening for him.
Absolutely, and we just got a bit of a heads up there from some of the viewers. Jamie's actually got on the podium previously in an AOSC event in an endurance, but never up there in an individual event. So setting himself up in a very good position here, still second, and we're just inside half a second behind on Jaden Borg at the moment. And we're just going to jump back a little further here into the action, and we're riding on board here with Thomas Hinds, currently P7, started 12th out of this race, and in front of him, he's got Cooper Webster. So those two have had a little bit of a change of position not that long ago. And just in front of these two boys, we've got Paul Preston. So good little train of three here at the moment. And Thomas is really going to want to work to get fasted. But good job here from Cooper and Paul to sort of maintain that position as well.
Tell you what, Daniel, Cooper Webster, he's been one of the surprise packets. He's come out of nowhere and he's been a very, very talented driver to watch.
Absolutely. We've seen him sort of come on, as you say, leaps and bounds, especially this season. A lot of time of that I would put down to having spent in driving this car, and yeah, there's no substitute for seat time at the moment, but the way he's handling it's very very seasoned, and he's getting the most out of it right now.
Yeah, he was a great signing for Performance Sim Sports there, but tell you what, he's definitely he's someone to be reckoned with, because he doesn't seem to fluster very easily, because he's getting that mirror filled by Hinsey there, and he's still not wavering off his line at all.
No, not at all. He's doing a really, really good job. I think probably maybe even found a way to switch the mirrors off mid-race there, because it's not really impacting him whatsoever. But we are hearing word now. We've had a couple of guys actually fall out of the server due to hitting that incident limit. Weihan Chan, our in-race reporter, is gone 2 laps in, 15 incident points, so not a night for him, race 2. Kyle Jansen, Jane is out of that as well. And I did hear that Mullen may have even DQ'd out of this one. He has on 15 points as well, so disappointing for Marlon, who we saw take a really good run in race 1.
Yeah, as we speak, both Borg and McKnight into the pit. So the question is, did McKnight follow him, or was it planned?
I think at this point you've got to do what the leader does. You really can't let it go there. But we've also had another one DQ out of here. Thomas Hins, what's happened to him? He's dropped out of the session. I think this is potential for a server dropout, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one as well.
Yeah, I've lost him completely off the results screen. So with the positions as they are, as the pit stops start to roll out, Kyle Stokes takes control of this race. No, sorry, Cooper Webster. We still have Thomas Hins showing in second place, but he's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it looks like actually he's jumped back up on my screen here now. Now that the timing's starting to reset itself, up into second, since we are getting some pit stops come through. But I'm going to be very interested to see where these guys filter out once their stops happen versus the likes of Jaden Borg and who do we have there? Jay McKnight, just who was behind him. So it'd be very interesting to see where they fall through. And who was that? Colin Bruins stepping sideways to let Thomas through as well.
Yeah, good driving there. My one to watch probably is going to be Kyle Stokes here, because he's gone in a lap later than Borgie and McKnight there. So he's going to have that fresher tyre, but also you've got to watch for the undercut now that these two potentially could have, and whether they've got clean track in front of them or not. Yeah,
absolutely, and just seeing where our positions currently shake out. So the first of the stop cars at the moment is Jaden Borg in 11th, Jamie McKnight just behind him in 12th. And Jacob Knight, who we haven't mentioned tonight, but we have got a little story for him coming up soon, in 13th. So these guys are doing pretty good, and obviously we're nearing sort of the back end of this window before these guys really have to come in and make their decision on where that stop will be.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Daniel, it appears as though Stokes has actually jumped McKnight and Borg, and McKnight's actually got past Borg.
That's very interesting. I wonder if he has actually come down the lane. My telemetry showing there is a time there, but it's a much longer stop than what we've seen with Jaden and Brian. But if he's been able to pull that one off, that's a great drive from him.
I dare say if it's a shorter stop, what he's done is he's gone out with a heavy car full of fuel. That way he's minimised the amount of fuel needed to put into the car and shortened his stop in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we were mentioning about that too, we have seen Jamie McKnight actually jump Jaden Borg, so that effectively will sit these guys in, well, where are we looking now? Maybe 4th and 5th, as we've got some more cars coming through the lane at the moment.
This is the chaotic part of the race, folks, where we're trying to calculate who's going to end up where while the stops go. Now, I think now's probably, personally, I'd take the stop here and split the load over the tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just have to, the top three that we've got now here, so that's Thomas Hinds, Jake Blackwell and Jonathan Ben, the current top three which haven't come in for stops, so we will need to keep an eye on them. I've just noticed Jake Blackwell running what looks like a bit of a Star Wars livery for May the 4th, and any of the guys out that are Star Wars fans will probably appreciate that little one, but Thomas Hinds still going around again, so just trying to extend whatever he can out of those tyres currently.
I think he's obviously trying to make use of some clear air in front of him, but now he's coming up on some lapped traffic by the looks of it. So personally, I think he probably needs to box it this lap round. Otherwise, he's just going to start hurting himself, especially if some of the lap traffic isn't aware that he's there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll just have a quick look now. Where is he? Sort of see what Jaden Borg's done the last time by. A little slower there. 133 plays a 131 that Thomas hit, so wasn't the best lap.
I don't know. Maybe the car's just not liking the heavier fuel load.
No, I don't think so. But we've got Jake Blackwell's come down the lane now as well, alongside Jonathan Ben. So those boys have had their stops, and now that this is sort of shaking out, as you said, you know, Kyle Stokes up in the lead, Jamie McKnight still pushing extremely hard, effective P2 at the moment, and Jaden Borg right behind him. These three are doing a phenomenal job here.
I tell you what, call of the day goes to Kyle Stokes and his crew there for taking that extra lap. Obviously, he's put a qualifying lap in on that and then boxed after that, and it's paid dividends to him because he's been able to jump 2 cars. Cracking start, cracking work.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's doing everything he needs to do to maintain this one, but just behind them, you know, Jaden and Jamie still fighting extremely hard here. Jamie's starting to look a little defensive there just to keep Borgie behind him, but watch the gaps just minimise as they get under brakes, and doing a good job. Looks like Jamie's settled down that braking issue that he had a little earlier on as well.
I dare say probably what he's done there is he's come out with the lighter load of fuel and gone for sort of that light start, longer stop. Sort of hurts a little bit, but obviously the extra weight of the fuel settled that rear end of that car down, and it's not dancing around as much. As I say that, little sideways there out of the hairpin.
Yeah, we've also had Thomas Hinds come down the lane for his stop, so that looks like all our drivers now are effectively done. But one guy we need to keep an eye on here, Cooper Webster, currently sitting in P4 at the moment, had the shortest stop out of anyone so far. One to watch, moving forward very well, and the lap times that he's putting through at the moment are actually quicker than what we're seeing from the leaders in front.
Yeah, Cooper's always had cracking pace, so definitely watch out for him. At this point in time, sitting back in 5th position, so yeah, I dare say the next probably 3 to 4 laps you'll see him really start, maybe even a little bit of Morse code there on Borgie's bumper.
Yeah, definitely, and we might just, now that we've had all these stops, we'll cycle through. We'll just quickly run through the top 10 here, just to let all the viewers know where their current driver currently sits. And as we mentioned, Kyle Stokes up in 1st, 2nd at the moment, Jamie McKnight coming under a huge amount of pressure there from Jaden Borg in 3rd. Cooper Webster in 4th at the moment, Paul Preston just behind him in 5th. Thomas Hinds, who just dropped out of the lead before with his stop, in 6th. Mitchell Bales behind him in 7th. Steve Jensen in 8th. Mick Cracknell up in 9th, and a good drive from him so far, and Jackson Harlow sitting in 10th. So not a bad little shake-up now that everything's sort of played through.
It's definitely mixed up the grid a bit, and you know, unfortunately, obviously with the loss of Marlon there due to incident points, look, sometimes the 15 points, especially early on when you're in the back end of the grid, not used to being back there, it can be very painful because you get caught up in other people's misfortunes, and then all of a sudden your night's over. So unfortunate for him, but tell you what, it's given us some cracking racing up the front, this reverse grid.
Absolutely. Stuck on this battle here in 2nd and 3rd at the moment. I've been watching Jaden and Jamie make their way through turn 2 there, and both of them run completely different lines to each other. I think Jaden, sorry, may have a little bit more speed on the initial part, but does sort of bottle himself up. But look who's knocking on the door here in 4th and 5th is Cooper Webster. Thomas Hinz is up there, and Paul Preston as well. So we're going to end up with probably a 6-car train here at the end of this one.
And again, it's the fact that there's a battle going on. I think this is really looking good for Kyle here, because he's able to just look ahead while Jamie's trying to look ahead, but really got to look behind him at the same time, because the eyes on that car are just, they're off-putting. They really are. It's moving around in the mirrors, and Jamie's trying to find his marks, but at the same time trying to be attacking. Very hard to do.
Yeah, the ice have been a bit of a tradition with the Stealth Sim Force guys all the way back to the old Angry Birds racing days. So something they've held true, but yeah, definitely menacing when you see him in the eyes there. But yeah, Jamie's going to have to be very careful here. Look, Jaden's maybe, I think, got the stronger car currently with the way it accelerates and corners at the moment, but Jamie's doing everything he can to be defensive there and hold him off. I saw Thomas before, again, having some very bad internet connections at the moment, dropping in and out of this service. That's going to be very off-putting for Paul Preston just behind him there. But this battle for 1st, 2nd and 3rd is really going hammer and tongs right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I wonder if there's a chance we can probably sort of maybe jump on board with Jaden here and just have a look at the different line. It looks to me as though Jamie's just sort of maybe a tyre width off the apex, whereas Jaden seems to be really able to get that car pointed in really nicely. So I think that car's dialed in really, really well. And Jamie might be struggling a little bit with front-end grip.
Yeah, as we say that though, Jamie is right up on the back here of Kyle, and had a good look through turn 8 there. Wasn't able to quite pull it off, but getting very very aggressive and starting to show the intent that he wants to get past here. And looked like he could break away just a smidgen, but it did bring Jaden back into this. So I don't know, these guys all seem to have a small advantage at different points on this track, but God, it's making the racing interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. And just to make it a little bit more interesting, this time around, let's sit in the car with Jaden here, and we'll go through a lap as so. Coming onto the main straight, you sort of probably top out 5th gear, maybe be able to grab 6, just depends on how quick you get out. Late on the brakes, turn in 3rd gear. Some guys may go back to 2nd to try and get the drive. Actually, Hinz is using 4th by the looks of it. 3rd gear through here. Now, problem here is you're going to try and want to get on the throttle to get a good run, and Borgie's using the same technique, I think, and that's quick couple of short shifts just to get the car to hook up. And there it is, Jamie getting a little wiggle there. So coming down here, you'll grab 6th gear, hard on the brakes, 3rd, 2nd gear, depending on how the car's gripping up. Borgie again going for 3rd. Now over here, really difficult. The car's going to want to dance around while you're accelerating, so probably a light lift. Hard on the brakes, back to 2nd gear. Some guys do use 1st because you want to sort of get the punch out of there. Short shifted into 2nd personally here, then another short shift into 4th just before turning in. Now hard on the throttle. When the tyres are warm, up over the crest here, you can stay flat. Hard on the brakes, back to 2nd. If the car's hooking up, you could probably even use 1st gear to get that really good drive out. Nail it. Maybe grabbing probably 5th gear, maybe 6th. Then again, hard on the brakes. Careful of not too much curb here because it does get quite dirty on the last corner here, and the car will rotate quite easily if you're too aggressive, as that Borgie just nearly did there. That is a lap of Zolder.
Yeah, it's a very little technical circuit. Like, it's not a big track by any stretch of the imagination. It is in a very confined little area there, but you've got to be so precise with how you get this thing through. As you said, you can get up over the curbs and lose it, and the guys are very smart now with short shift the gears, keep whatever traction they can do, and it's bringing on some awesome racing here, and I think we're going to have this right the way through the end with 4 laps to go here.
With 4 to go, you're seeing Jamie start to push it back up on Kyle here. I think maybe he was conserving the tyres for a last minute attack in the back end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. He's back up on the back here of Kyle now. I want to put it out to the viewers. I'd love to get your idea on the top 3 finishing order for this race. Looks like Jamie's been able just to offset him. He's going to be in the hard part here on the outside of the turn for the chicane. He might actually get the job done into the chicane here. Good move from him.
He's got line and he's done it. That's a sensational move. But opens Kyle here. He could almost lose 2 positions because of the lack of drive there. But no, Boogie's under now a full-on attack from Cooper Webster.
Absolutely. Jaden's going to be very careful here because don't forget, just behind them, you got Thomas Hinds on the battle this back as well. So 5 cars very close together. Great move there from Jamie McKnight just to get up the inside. Jaden's doing the exact same thing here on Kyle, and I think we're going to see him potentially get this move, but if he's not assertive enough, he's going to get boxed around the ears and maybe lose this podium position. So going to have to get the job done really quickly and do it hard and sharp and get it in there.
Yeah, because if you have a look there, Cooper Webster is really monstering the back of that car, and Cooper seems to, I think he's lost the spot there to Hinds, has he? Yes, he has.
Another one, too wide into the chicane. You don't normally see that. And I think Thomas actually got a slowdown as a result, let Cooper back through, but opened himself up there to Paul Preston. Those guys dropped back into line, so good effort there. But too wide, it's pretty impressive stuff. And now we've still got Jaden and Kyle fighting it out again for second.
Yeah, so that's definitely taking some of the pressure off Jaden there, because with that little battle there, it's giving him some breathing room to maybe refocus and put the attack on Stokes. But while all that's going on, Jamie McKnight has just said, "See you later, boys, I'm going home."
Absolutely. I'll be interested to keep an eye on his lap times now that he's been able to get that clear air to see what sort of real pace is under this thing. Last time by, obviously we know he was making the pass, was a 1:30.8, but getting across the line now, what has he been able to set himself? 1:32.3, so half a tenth in it. Not too bad, and he was certainly 7/10ths quicker than what we've seen from Kyle and Jaden as they're battling away.
Yeah, most definitely. The thing I know about racing against Jamie in the GT3s is he's a very tactical driver, and he'll just maintain that gap now. He won't do anything more than he has to and won't do anything less than he has to, just to make sure that that car comes home in one piece. There's not a little mistake where he might lock the rears or something like that. He's now going to be focused. But in saying that, being your first victory, everything's going to be in your head. You're going to be breathing slightly different. Your throttle application is going to be slightly different because you're going to be more precise with how you're applying that throttle and the brake, and just to make sure that you don't over throttle it or over brake it.
Absolutely. Well, we might jump off Jamie. Don't want to give him the commentator's curse. It'd be great to see him get that win, but battling still here, 4th and 5th. Thomas Hinds. This fight's still going down to the wire. We saw a little bit of an issue there with Thomas trying to get it too wide through the back chicane. Didn't quite work for him. He dropped back in the line, but he still hasn't let go of Cooper here, and these guys are going to go to the line here, I reckon, continuing this battle on.
Look, it's an unfortunate thing for the rest of the field here tonight that there's all the key battles have been right up the pointy end, because with that reverse grid, it's really thrown a whole bunch of guys together, and they've provided us with some absolutely cracking racing tonight.
Absolutely, and I'm just watching some of the comments from the viewers here. Why can't you go too wide through a chicane? Well, it's not normal that you see it, especially on the tight ones, but these guys have got a lot of respect for each other, doing a really good job. So good to see. I haven't seen any top 3 podium results come through, so if the viewers want to give us a bit of a run through of their pick, that'd be great. As we come towards the end, we still got Jamie McKnight, as you said, out front over Kyle Stokes, Jaden Borg just behind them, Cooper Webster having a big go here at the back end of this race on Jaden in 4th, Thomas Hinds up in 5th at the moment as well. So good little battle here. As you said, Jamie McKnight being able to start stretching that gap though over 2nd place and Kyle Stokes.
Yeah, he's definitely checked out. It's check please sir, but it's still not over yet between Stokes, Borg, Hinds and Webster. Any one of these 3, one mistake is all it's going to take.
Absolutely. Thomas with a big dive up under Cooper Webster there. Didn't quite get the traction out of the hairpin. I think Cooper will be able to hold this one off into the chicane. These two are still going tooth and nail for this. We'll have to see what the the end of this one brings. Cooper puts it nose back up front, gets the drive out of the chicane there. Jaden, I don't know what he's got left in the bag of tricks to get it past Kyle there, but hopefully he can maintain that position. It'll be a great result for him as the guys are now entering the final lap of the race.
And Hinz tries to put it up the inside of one, and I think he's made it stick, but Webster's got the line for 2.
Yeah, I think Thomas got that one in. He carried enough mid-corner speed to sort of get that one. Cooper had a bit of a wiggle there on exit of 2 into 3. Gonna have to be careful. He's got Paul Preston right behind them and Mitchell Bales as well. So if he has a bit of a slip up here, he could potentially lose 2 more spots in the blink of an eye.
And that was one of the key factors I was mentioning there with the lap with Borgie. You're trying to sort of get on the throttle because it is an attacking point, but the car still wants to slide.
Yeah, absolutely, and did a good job not to lose any further positions. Be disappointed in seeing Thomas get by there, but he hasn't let go of this. Maybe look for a last-minute move up into the hairpin. Potentially, we'll see him send it. Jaden, I don't think has got the legs to get it up past Kyle at the moment, but Cooper's still right in there with a shot coming into the chicane now.
This is his last chance, last lap, last complex of corners. I don't think he's close enough to stick it up there.
No, he didn't quite get the drive out off the hairpin that he needed to get it up there, but up front we will take a look here. We've got Jamie McKnight bringing it home, maiden victory, individual maiden victory, AOSC, phenomenal drive. Kyle Stokes up in 2nd, Jaden Borg in 3rd, Thomas Hinz 5th, and Cooper Webster bringing it home in 5th tonight. That was awesome.
I'll tell you what, then you couldn't ask for a better way to finish the race weekend here. But those top 5 guys gave us non-stop entertainment. Quality drive there from Jamie McKnight. I think you'll find that when we do get a chance to chat to him, he probably did maybe button it off a little bit, just sort of conserve a little bit of tyre and have a good old crack. And there he is. If we can get him on screen now, he's letting rip those Dunlop tyres that I don't think will be having much left by the time he gets them back to the pits.
No, mate, you can destroy those. Job done. Nothing more to be said. That was an awesome drive from him. West End boys will be very excited as a result of that one. So that's an awesome effort for him tonight.
Yeah, look, I think probably a little disappointing for Kyle there. His strategy for the pit stops was on point. He got the jump, got out in front of him, but again, Jamie McKnight, it was just a class drive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't say much more than that. He put it in the positions he needed to get the job done. Good, fair racing. There was no bump and runs to get it up there, so take your hat off to him. He did a phenomenal job. But now that this one is drawn to a close, we better start having a look through the race results here to let all the viewers out there tonight know where their favourite driver came home for the race.
So obviously there we've got Jamie McKnight taking the win, Kyle Stokes in 2nd, Jaden Borg 3rd, Thomas Hinz managed to fight off Cooper Webster for 4th, obviously Webster in 5th, Paul Preston 6th, Mitchell Bales 7th, I do believe that may be a career best for him here, Michael Cracknell 8th, Peter Sattler 9th, Dave Kinnaman rounding out your top 10.
Coming home in 11th was Luke Harvey, followed by Jake Blackwell. Great drive from him, up 38 to 12. That's probably drive of the night in race 2. Kai Sloggett up to 13th, finishing 13th. Mark Summers in 14th. Jonathan Ben in 15th. Jamie Owens in 16th, with Darren Lord home in 17th. Stephen Vargas come home in 18th tonight, with Brennan Jackson in 19th. 20th was Stephen Jansen, and 21st was Rob Harris.
22nd, Christopher Kessie. 23rd, Jacob Knight. Unfortunately for Jacob, this being where he made his debut, not probably the result he's looking for in race 2. Daniel Stevens in 24th, Matt Muggleton 25th, Tony Gaffer 26th. Now we start into the lapped cars. Job Stewart 1 lap down in 27th, Matt Lepotovan 28th, Michael Taliancic, yeah, shame to see him 2 laps down there in 29th, and Nick Hausler in 30th.
31st and 3 laps down was Jackson Harlow. Simon Pitt came home in 32nd. Michael Hammond, 33rd and 4 laps down for him. Quite disappointing, no doubt. 34th tonight was Henry King, 5 laps down off the pace. Simon Mazomo home in 35th. JC Richards in 36th. Colin Bruns in 37th and Ford in 38th. Marlon McMullen, disappointing for him, DQ for the race in 39th. And to round out the remainder of the grid, we had Brenton O'Brien in 40th, Kyle Jans in 41st, Wihan Chan in 42nd, and Matt Morris in 43rd.
Yeah, definitely a cracking race there. I think we should maybe move over to the podium here and try and have a chat with a couple of these guys. What do you think, Daniel?
Absolutely, mate. It'd be good to get him up. Who we got in there? Jamie McKnight. Let's get him up, mate, and I will let you start with the intros for the race.
Terrific.
Hey, guys.
Jamie, mate, cracking race there, mate. Congratulations on your maiden victory in the AOSC.
I can't believe it, guys. I'm so excited. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thanks, Nick Hausler, for the great series. I've been waiting to win one of these for the 18 months I've been iRacing now, and the reverse grid helped me out big time, no doubt about it. I didn't even know we had one. But after race 1, I thought I was gone, and I just made some setup changes, and thank God I did.
Yeah, your car looked quite loose in the rear under brakes early on. Was that a strategy where you took maybe a lot of fuel load for an early stop?
No, that was me just... I've been trying to run my brake bias further and further back to try and get a lot more turning. And I can do it as long as I'm really, really consistent with the braking and I don't over-brake. As soon as I over-brake, the back comes round. So I think in race 1, because the start didn't go well, I was a bit apprehensive and I was just jamming the brake too hard and I kept telling myself, don't do it, you know what I mean? But it just went from bad to worse and I had a couple of bingles in that race and it was just... terrible. And then when I gridded up, I was on the front row and I thought, oh, it must be a reverse grid, you beauty. And I thought, well, no one's taking this one off me if I'm starting in the front row. I'm going hard, and Kyle gave me a magnificent race, and so did Jaden Borg, so thanks to those guys as well.
Yeah, it was quite a shock there when we saw Kyle come out from the stops in front of you. Did you think that he was a chance at being in front of you after the first round of stops?
No, I thought he was numb because I didn't even... I didn't even take enough fuel to warrant the tyres. I just went in and took 17 litres and went. So I thought for sure I went in before him. I'd undercut the people in front, not anybody behind me. But he did a brilliant fuel stop, and when he came out in front of me, Kyle's a good driver, and I knew he was going to be hard to pass. So he made it as hard as he could for me. But I was just wrapped with that move that that I pulled off on him down there at the right hander, and he gave me room, and that was very nice of him. But we were side by side, coming out of a corner in first gear, and we didn't touch each other, and it was just probably the best I've driven. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, there was some great respectful racing there. Just on that battle with Stokesy there, it seemed as though for a period there that you sort of fell back a little bit. Was that sort of just to try and regain some composure and maybe get a better look at him and then pinpoint an attack?
Well, it was two things, to be honest. I've been doing a lot of strategy work with my teammate Mike Talanich, who's the master, as you know, Troy. And one of the things that I've learned is to be patient and to not overdrive the car and make a mistake, like put the pressure on Kyle. I thought he's got everything to lose. So I knew I'd taken the minimum amount of fuel, and I thought I'm going to take this opportunity for a couple of laps to have a breather. I'm going to save some fuel to make sure I get home, which in the end I had about half a lap. And I thought if I might be able to frustrate Jaden a little bit and put him out of his rhythm, because he was on fire behind me. And I couldn't afford to let him get past, because if he did, it was going to be a nightmare getting back past him again. He's really good on the brakes. So it was a strategy, mate. I did pull off. I just let him get to about 0.8, no more. And it sort of worked on Jaden because he didn't seem to be as fast after I had that little sort of spell where I pulled a couple of 31.5, 32s out. So it probably came off good, and I knew I could catch Kyle because Kyle's tyres were starting to go, and I'd looked after mine. So he even noticed at the end that I had really strong grip and he didn't. So I was able to pull out a 1.5, 2 second gap in the last few laps and put away my first one. But I tell you what, the whole way around, I knew Bertie would be saying, Jamie, you'll be thinking, don't make a mistake. And that's exactly what I was thinking.
Nah, mate, it was a cracking race, well driven. We'll see if Daniel's got anything in the chat, anything to ask of you.
Yeah, g'day, Jamie. Again, mate, congratulations. Race 2 winner, mate. Phenomenal. Only got a couple of questions. Don't want to really tie up too long from getting in there and having a celebration with the boys. But give us a bit of a rundown. At the end of that, once you got clear and the tyres, how did they sort of feel towards the back end of the race? And were you struggling at any points there with lack of traction at all? Because yourself and Jaden looked to be going really well and getting some good little battles there. But at the end with yourself and Kyle, you sort of just had that little bit of traction to get the job done.
Yeah, as I said, mate, I was consciously thinking, well, Kyle's taking the lead in the pit, so I might as well look after the fuel and tyres because I was expecting to have to try and bolt to get away from Jaden. That was my plan, to be honest. And Kyle put that to bed for me. So, I actually had really, really good tyres at the end. They'd done a few laps, and as I said, I only took fuel in the pit stop, so it was always going to be a bit iffy on them. But because I'd learnt to be patient and not try to overdrive it beyond Kyle, I knew I'd looked after the tyres and they were really good. The only problem I had was trying to control that more rearward brake bias, just making sure that I didn't brake too hard, and the car would twitch sometimes. You probably saw it, and I had to be really on the nice edge with it, but it makes it cornering so much faster when you got the brake on, so it was worth the risk.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mate, we'll let you get out of here. Before we do, go celebrate with the boys and do, what do we call it now? We can't call it a shoey, a boot. Better get a shout out from all the sponsors on board, mate, that you were able to get them home tonight.
Yeah, look, obviously, thanks to West End Mazda, obviously, who I'm a part of, for sponsoring our team as a major sponsor, and also Wayne Pengilly from WP Concreting, top bloke. And also a sponsor of my own team, West End Mazda, and his team. So really good group of guys, and obviously Grant for all his skins. And I just want to say thanks to Danny Trim too, the team manager. He works his ass off for all of us, make sure we're organised and make sure we got good sets. And I want to personally thank him for all the help he's given me at Performance in Sport since I started there in June last year. He's really helped me improve as a driver, him and Mike, the V8 manager. So thanks to those guys. And thanks to RRTV.
Congratulations, mate. Well, we'll let you get out of here. Go celebrate with the boys. And again, congratulations on taking out race 2, mate. Well earned.
Many thanks. Hope it's the first of many. See you later.
That was Jamie McKnight, race winner for round 2. Interesting to see how he was able to play with the tyres there. And as he said, did a great job to get that one over the line there, Troy.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's one very happy man. And yeah, again, a great drive, very strategic, very Jamie McKnight.
Absolutely. Well, we got Kyle Stokes here sitting in the green room, so we better get Kyle up and find out about his race. He was obviously up the pointy end there with Jamie and Jaden, and be interesting to see how he found things with the tyres. G'day, Kyle. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. Congratulations. Second place tonight. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Fairly lucky with a reverse grid, but yeah, nonetheless, I'll take it. Yeah,
definitely. Hey, look, second's nothing to be sneezed at all. Looks like you had yourself a phenomenal battle pretty much the whole way through the race. Give us a bit of a recap on how things went with yourself and Jaden and Jamie there.
Yeah, well, basically just started off trying to save a bit of fuel behind Jamie and that. Figured I could play that in a strategy to try jump in the pit lane, and clearly it worked. Come out good, and then sort of just a bit too aggressive on the setup today and hurt me a little bit with the tyres at the end.
Yeah, Jamie was saying he had a bit of a notice there. Your tyres looked to be sort of going off towards the end of the race. But as far as the undercut's concerned with your fuel strategy there, how much did you have left in the tank when you crossed the line at the end of the race?
0.2. So basically nothing.
Yeah, so pretty calculated run home to the flag there by the sounds of it.
Yeah, been practicing a little bit just to make sure I'm not putting too much in, get the most out of it. But big congrats to Jamie tonight, though. He drove an epic race, awesome battle with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you guys were pretty well door-to-door through a couple of good sections there. Give us your take on the pass through lap, through turn 8 and into the chicane there. Was there any contact from your end at all?
Slight contact, but nothing major. We're giving each other as much room as we could. We know it's tight there. I just made a little mistake, locked the rears into the hairpin, and I knew it was always going to happen as soon as I locked the rears. All those things. Nah, nice and clean.
Yeah, and then once that turned around, yourself and Jaden looked to be going pretty well at the end. Did you feel you had the measure for him, or were you sort of keeping an eye on the mirror behind you just to see whether you were going to get a bit of an attack from behind?
I was probably more concerned just with behind. I didn't really have the tyres to attack Jamie again. I was a little quicker in the first sector, but nothing to put a fight up to him.
Fantastic. Well, again, congratulations on P2 tonight, mate. Drove phenomenally well. Got yourself into some great battles there and a good bit of strategy at the end. But I might hand you over to Troy and see if he's got any final questions for you before we let you get out of here and celebrate the second place.
Not a problem, mate. Thank you.
Kyle, again, great drive tonight, mate. I thought it was a wonderful call with that extra lap and then being able to jump everyone there. I actually thought you might have come in heavy on the fuel and just have been able to pull in just a couple of litres to get through. You say you went aggressive with the strategy, with the setup, sorry. Was that more on the spring side or was it more the dampers?
It was actually more in camber. I was running a fair bit of camber tonight, so rear tyres were getting hurt quite easily. So it's one of those things, little bit of a mistake, but I'll fix it for next time.
In saying that, mate, I don't think it was too bad. I mean, the battle, the way you were able to go door to door with Jamie there, you guys, it was brilliant to watch. It was highly entertaining, and I tell you what, it was very respectful driving from the two of you. You guys should hold your head high, especially you and the crew there for the call that you made on that pit stop, because I tell you what, that for me was call of the race.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Means a lot. I've been doing this a fair while now, so just starting to get the good results coming in, and me and Jamie been racing together quite a long time now, so we got a lot of respect for each other. But congrats on his first win, and I'll take the podium and take the points with it. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, no, you won't be sneezing at that, mate. Well, you go off. I'm sure Jamie's down there already with his. We're calling it a boot now, aren't we, Daniel?
Yeah, mate. Got to do a boot since the shoey is a F1 trademark now.
Okay, so you go and find yourself a boot now, Kyle. Go in there with Jamie and enjoy.
Okay then, buddy. Cheers for that. Thanks for all the commentary.
Very humble man there, Daniel.
Yeah, not wrong. No, look, he drove a great race, as you say. Could not fault the pit stop strategy to be able to jump the likes of Jamie and Jaden as a result of that was awesome call, and like you said, had enough there to get the job done and get it home and retain second. So that's awesome for him.
And let's have a look. We still got Jaden there. Yeah, we've still got Borgie there. Let's get him down here and have a chat and just get his take on, because he pretty much had a bird's eye view of that battle.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see. I know he's going to be pretty excited over this because they've been the team themselves have been looking a long time to get a good result. So let's get him in here. I'll let you start this one off, mate.
Jaden, third place there tonight, mate. Welcome to the RRTV commentary box, mate. First of all, one hell of a drive. It was non-stop battling there.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Yeah, it was certainly something different. It's good to have a first podium in the series. We've got to thank the reverse grid for that, and the first podium for Penrod as well. It was but no, really good racing between everyone up the front there, and it was kept clean, and the times were a bit too close, so made it a bit hard to throw some passes.
Mate, you had a bird's eye view there of the battle between Stokes and McKnight towards the back end. Did you think that you were a chance that someone was going to trip over each other and you were going to pull a Bradbury on us?
It crossed my mind a couple of times. I just tried to dump that thought because, knowing my luck, they'd both come across into the front of me if that did happen, and probably put me up the back.
Well, I suppose there's always the pessimistic to the optimistic, but let's go a little bit earlier on there with the strategy, the pit stops. Did you lead Jamie in, or did he just decided you were both there at the same time?
I was planning on running longer. The tyres were still reasonably good, and I thought I had at least a couple more laps in, and we just got up to lap traffic, and it looked like it was just going to hold me up way too much. So I thought I'd dive in, and I didn't expect Jamie to follow, but he followed me through, and I dropped down in tyre pressures a bit. And, I don't know, I heard it a little bit earlier, but towards the end there, they still held on strong, which is good. Probably had another couple of laps in them.
Okay, that's an interesting call. The second part of that question is, what did you think when you saw Stokesy come out in front of you after the pit stops?
Yeah, that was a bit surprising considering, you know, he was behind us all, and yeah, just come around onto the straight, and here he is pulling out in front, and I don't know what crossed my mind then. I wasn't really thinking too clear. I had Jamie behind me, and I knew he's always a tough one to battle with. He had some good pace, and yeah, then I was just trying to focus on getting onto Kyle and hopefully get past him and have him and Jamie battle it out, but it ended up the other way around and me behind both of them.
Mate, you had our eyes glued to you, top 5 actually tonight. Quality racing, respectful racing, no inches given, no inches taken, mate. Hold your head high and hold that 3rd place pretty high too, mate.
Oh yeah, it's a big thing for us. You know, it's not very often you see us guys up there, so you know, for us to be up there, it's hopefully a good sign. We've had, you know, a couple of top 10s this year already, so hopefully leads on to a good season.
Mate, onwards and upwards from here. I'll chuck you over to Daniel. He's probably got a couple of things he needs to ask.
Jay, mate, what do I say? Congratulations, well done. 3rd. I know the boys will be pretty excited with that one back in the team.
Yeah, a few of them are pretty happy. Poiter basically said that if I didn't get a podium, I wasn't going to his house at Winton. So yeah, it had to be done.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, the car looked really good out there. Did you find you guys sort of ran into much issue towards the back end of the race? Saw you couldn't maybe get the job done on Kyle there at the end there, but how did you find things?
The car felt very well. There was a few little minor changes I made with the suspension, just softening the rear springs there for the second race. Hoping that'd work a bit. Finished at 13th in the first race. Wasn't, you know, exactly satisfying. But yeah, going out the second race, I got towards the end there, and I thought I might, you know, start looking at trying to throw a move on Kyle, but because we had such similar pace, there was a high possibility of just ruining both our races. But yeah, 3rd definitely I'm really satisfied with.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, look, I don't have a lot of other questions for you other than, you know, I know the team will be back there having a good celebration with you. But before we let you get out of here and celebrate it with the boys, we better get a shout out from all the sponsors that are currently on the car and help you get you guys through for the 3rd position.
Yeah, well, first up, I've got to thank the guy for putting the paint on the car. Looks good, so thanks, Dan. Yeah, big thanks to Penrite. You know, they've jumped on into something that they've never done before and never thought they would have done. And yeah, that's awesome having them behind us. Probably Pagnian for the big comfy rig that I'm in, and you know, getting some results in now. And On the Go Sports for their custom shirts that are very light and pretty comfortable for a race.
Awesome, mate. Well, we'll let you get out of here. Enjoy it with the boys. Congratulations on 3rd, man. We expect big things moving forward for you. So, yeah, look, enjoy it, and we'll no doubt see you back again AOSC for next week as well.
Yeah, definitely. Cheers, guys.
No worries, mate. Have a good night. Cool, and that was Jaden Borg there from Stealth Synth Force coming home in 3rd position. So great job from him there. And yeah, Troy, look, we had a great race, two great races. So yeah, what were your sort of takeouts and highlights, especially from race 2 that we saw?
Again, it's got to be the drive from Jamie McKnight. It was all class, all quality, all strategy too. And I think probably the Kyle Stokes, I think it's probably not a disappointment, but just sort of close, but not quite close enough. The pit strategy was brilliant. The fuel saving strategy was brilliant. Just unfortunately, the car couldn't look after its tyres. Yeah,
definitely. I think obviously I'm probably a little biased. I'm really stoked for Jaden getting up there in the 3rd. I think from what we saw in the front 3 was some very good racing. A little bit further behind that too, you know, the likes of Cooper and Thomas really got in there, showed some great overtakes and respect at the same time. Obviously, we saw those guys go too wide through the back chicane there, which we know was notoriously tricky, especially with the way that curb rides. So it was awesome to see those guys go through it. But all in all, to still get 40-plus cars turn up here to Zolder tonight across the 2 races was phenomenal. So big hats off to the organisers in Nick Hauser and the boys at AOSC. They've done a great job again. And now we've got to get ready and do it all again next week.
That we do, and I do believe if I just go to my program here, I think we're actually off for an enduro next week.
I have a feeling we have an enduro up on the cards as well, so that'll be a great one. Obviously, we know there's some very seasoned guys in the field. Jamie, now that he's got the bit between the teeth with a win tonight, will definitely be looking strong again next week as well. So maybe look for his team to be up there in the West End Mazda boys as well. So going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when you're on a high, it's so easy to keep that momentum going. And we do have the 650 at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, so keep an eye out for that one. If you've liked what you've seen here, guys, don't forget to hit that like button, hit the share, hit the subscribe, do all of the above, everything you do, because it lets us know that you like what we're doing here. Yeah,
absolutely. And as always, the guys who jump into the live chat do a great job and keep us informed. We got a few great little tips along the way. And one thing we must mention as well, we've said it a couple of times already, but the Matty Torkins charity race coming up on the 15th of May at Watkins Glen International. So the full layout with the boot and everything. Be great to see as many guys to get involved in that. There is a fundraising page where you can donate, and any contribution is greatly appreciated. And we know the guys in the Australian NZ community always back a great event like this, and this one will absolutely be no different. So to all the guys having a run, congratulations, and thank you for putting your time into it and doing whatever you can to help a fellow iRacer who's going through a very tough time at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've had the pleasure of spending some time with Matty, an absolute champion of a bloke, and definitely someone that we all should get behind and help through this trying time. Just quickly on that event, it's going to be a cracker. You're going to have GT3 cars racing against supercars at Watkins Glen. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, and it's just one of those things that we've got to be there for Matty and put all our egos aside and just have a bucket load of fun and get as much money as we can behind this guy, because I tell you what, he's going to need it because he's in for one hell of a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone that's had friends or family that have had to go through cancer or those types of things, it is life-changing. So any support you can help the family along the way with, greatly appreciated. And yeah, it's anything you can do would be phenomenal. So for all the guys getting behind it, continue it, and the guys thinking of getting involved, do it. It'll be a great thing for you to get involved in, and the guys behind it in Matty Torkins and his family will be greatly appreciative of it.
Most definitely.
Now, moving forward, for now, obviously we're coming to the end of the AOSC. Quick recap for probably our highest mover. Race 2 was Jake Blackwell. Biggest loser would have been Job Stewart, who we still have that early incident. But we start turning our attention to some GT3 racing for tomorrow night. We've got the Racing League's online GT3 race, so that'll be a good little event there. And following it up afterwards, a few hours later, we've got the SRA Endurance or Sim Racers Asia Sprint Series. Wehan Chan, who we had up in the Combox after race 1, will be calling that one along with Scotty Newton. So that'll be a great little event there. So I think that's at Road America or Road Atlanta. Road America. So it'll be an awesome little drive, and yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, definitely going to be a cracking event. Now, the SRA, I'm starting to get involved in myself, so I need to get out there and get this car ready. Absolutely.
Well, see you out there tomorrow, mate. I'll be certainly looking forward to it. Ending on that note, though, to all the guys that turned up and had a run in the AOSC tonight, thank you very much for putting it on. Know the viewers enjoyed it immensely. And yourself, Troy, it was great to have you up here, mate. Expertise and technical know-how with the cars was great to have on board. Bernie Weemers, we heard from at the beginning of the broadcast in the background doing the camera work and doing a great job with that as well, and keeping the guys in the chat under control and us up to date on what was going on. So for all of us here at RRTV, thank you very much for tuning in, and we will catch up with you in the next event.